Hi, welcome back. Hi, I'm Alexis. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to quickly talk about what I watched in April 2024. So this is going to be extremely short, and I know I say that at the beginning of every video because I think it's going to be short, but this is really going to be short because I only watched 3 films. I kind of checked and I kind of didn't check to see if that was right, because sometimes I forget and then I'll remember, yeah, and then I have to add it in afterwards. If that's the case, then I will just put it on the screen. I'm filming this on my phone, so I'm going to read this as if I'm in school. Gather around. I'm going to read you what I watched. Starting off, the first film I watched was for my film club, and it was Kramer versus Kramer. I've heard about it. Honestly, didn't really know too much about it and what it was about. Didn't even know who was in it. And I honestly thought it was going to be a humorous movie. I know it was going to be that drama loaded and dramatic and everything, but it had high ratings. But I gave it a 3.5. I thought the kid was pretty snarky, and so I was convinced. I was like, this kid is too smart for his own good. I wrote, you can't convince me otherwise that there wasn't a 35-year-old grown man living in that kid's body, because he was so. I mean, obviously that's the point of it. That's why they were making it seem like the kid was taking care of the dad, and then in the end, the roles switched once the father stepped up, started acting like a father instead of a babysitter. Meryl Streep. And I guess it was interesting because when we were talking about it, I didn't even know, but some people were reading the lore behind it. He I guess Dustin Hoffman. Oh, is that Dustin Hoffman? I can't remember who the main guy. They said that he was taking his method acting to a whole nother level and was actually slapped Meryl Streep or something at some point and was just doing a whole bunch of unnecessary things that he didn't need to be doing. But he was doing it anyway. Apparently it's hearsay, but he I guess, made be not as fun as it should have been because he was method acting, which kind of seems this thing is telling me more yeah, which kind of seems like anyone that you always hear about the actors that be method acting, they kind of be ruining the experience for everybody else on set because they're method acting, and I'm okay, it's not that serious. You're going to get paid your millions whether you make everyone else on set's life terrible or not. So why not just make it a good experience for everybody? Pretty interesting though, because there was kind of a division in my film club discussion. Some people felt sorry for Meryl Streep, and then some people weren't, and then some people were half and half. So it was a bit of a debate. It was okay. I could have gone my life without watching it. It didn't really change or move me too much in any direction. I could kind of understand, I guess, that maybe Meryl Streep's character was suffering from potentially postpartum depression, because that changed. I don't know how long it lasts, if it can last that long, but I mean, if it's something that structurally changes and alters the chemistry of your brain, then there ain't a time limit on that, right? I don't know. I kept seeing this everywhere, and also I had it on my watch list because I've been into Nicolas Cage's movies since they started being different than what he usually was in, which was his movies. Or I don't know if you ever seen it, but there used to, I think in 2016 there was this Nicolas Cage reel going around before reels existed, where it was just he what in the world, how is he acting? And it was just all the moments in all his movies where he was just acting wild and stuff. And so that used to crack everybody up, and we used to send it around on Tumblr, if you know what that is. Back in the day, I watched Dream Scenario. For the longest time, I kept calling it Sicario, which that's not even the same thing, but in my head I just kept saying Sicario, but no, it's Scenario. I gave it a 4 and a heart. If you watched it, you already know that film was just ridiculous. It kind of was poking fun about people going viral and how people go viral and how their life changes pretty much overnight. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you read more into the title, then you literally will figure out. Unlike me, I didn't. I went into this very blind, and I had my sister watch with me. This also was for a different film club than the one I usually go to, so I discussed this as well. Yeah, there's some points I was feeling, this is what I wrote. I was I feel so bad for him, teary eye emoji. But honestly, and this is going to spoil it, I was he shouldn't have gone home with that girl. Stand up. Clap emoji. He pretty much was like this old man who kind of seemed like now I'm just spoiling it. So here's your spoiler alert again. He kind of like seemed like throughout his life, he kind of was just like mundane, had a family, nice house, but, you know, not really recognized for his true talents and what he really wanted to be recognized for in life. And so, which was like coining this term, and then like, you know, he was a biologist and stuff. So he wanted to put out a biology book, but that never happened. And then he was a professor and kind of just like living mundane life. It just seemed like a lot of things just happened to him in life and not really the other way. Like he was acting on life and, you know, like life was passing him by and he was just like a character, side character, NPC. So yeah, so then there was something that happened and he went viral for it once everyone started figuring out. But then there was a twist. And that's what I said about when I was like, he shouldn't have gone home with that girl. That was the twist. And then things start, you know, when you go viral, or not like we know, because I mean, maybe you have gone viral. There's always a positive and a negative with everything, but same with like going viral, because there's some people that become like America's sweetheart or whatever, you know, get a lot of people and you have positivity, but then there's some people that go viral for other things and it's like they're demonized or it's negative. Yeah. So he started off on the happy end and then was coasting towards the middle, and then towards the end, he was kind of like, at the end, they kind of bounced back a bit because he still had like some fans that were like, you know, supporting him and stuff. It was like some French people that just made me think of all those French movies I watched last year. Or was that at the beginning of this year? No, that was last year, because this year is my film challenge, which is this. If you don't know, there it is. I am so far... Last time I checked, I was like 40% done. But like I said, I have no fear that I'm not going to achieve this challenge, because it's only 30 movies. And like, if I really wanted to, I could finish that in like a month or less than a month if I doubled up. Yeah, that was dream scenario. I'm at 10 minutes already. I need to hurry. Dang, it takes me 10 minutes just to talk through 2 movies. Is that how it usually is? I apologize. I watched the movie Swallow. I gave it a 3.5 on Letterboxd, but because they don't allow like, you know, micro increments, I really would have given it a 3.6. I had this on my list for a long time, and I think there was at one point it was on Hulu or Tubi, one of them, and then I missed the chance to watch it, and then it went off, and I was like, dang. But then it was back, and so I watched this on like my birthday eve, and then we had to stop because there was like a spider that crawled up on the wall, and then we're just like, you know, we're going to bed. It was late, so we just went to bed. I watched this with my sister. I watched all these with my sisters. Kramer versus Kramer, Dream Scenario, and Swallow. This was very interesting because it was like, you don't really see a lot of movies done on like pica. And if you don't know what pica is, I think other things can bring it on, like nutrient deficiency, diet, like deficiencies in your diet and stuff, vitamins and, you know, nutrients and stuff can bring on pica. But also pregnancy brings it on too. And a lot of pregnant people will have to like fight the urge to not eat dirt, to not like chew on like objects, or like, you know, in this movie, this lady was like chewing. She was doing some wild stuff. Like she was putting things you would never, ever think that someone would even attempt to swallow, because like, hello, your body's not made of steel. Like you can puncture things. And she did. Spoiler alert. It's very interesting. I wrote, wish we could have seen a bit more of the after. I'll leave that as a spoiler free. So now that there is a before and after, of course, with all movies, but in her character's arc and journey, there definitely is before and after. Then I said, but man, good for her. Because she made a decision, kind of not. The decision was kind of, part of the decision was made for her, and then she had to make a decision on the decision that was made for her. So she had to like put, you know, she had to do what she had to do, and she had to get herself out of a situation that she was unwillingly put into, because honestly, she was not happy in her relationship to begin with should be that if you have a gut feeling about someone, even though it seems ludicrous, out of the blue or way out in the outfield, something that, you're just like, what? I don't get it. Trust it. Because honestly, everyone that I know, when they have an inkling about someone in a relationship, they ignore it, myself included, that, you realize some things. Sometimes some people don't realize it till it's too late. Yeah, good for her. Also, a lot of people find out they have pica when they really feel an urge to chew on ice. I think TLC, as you know, they like to exploit people. TLC on, what was that channel they used to? It was some channel. It's something by Weird Obsessions or something like that. Not channel, a series. I think it was Weird Obsessions or something like that on TLC, where a couple of people would go on there. I remember seeing a couple of different episodes. Maybe it was only one. Yeah, actually it was a couple, because there was this one lady that chewing styrofoam or something, or her mattress. And then there was this other person who eating dirt. But I also heard that the need to chew ice is an iron deficiency or something. And I should know, because baby, if you want to talk about someone deficient in iron, it's me. I've been on and off deficient, struggling with anemia since 10 years now. It's so weird, because the doctors should be like, yeah, okay, you're fine, your iron's up, and then take you off iron pills just because it's 1 point over the minimum of the threshold, and they're like, you're cured. And then you'll be back there in 6 months. It's oh no, what do you mean you're deficient again? It's well, you took me off the supplements right when I went a little over the threshold by 1 point. Anyway, that's all. So that's all I watched in April. My 3 movies. Hopefully I will watch more in May. I started Shogun, finished watching Fargo. So now I have to wait for the next season. Oh no. Honestly, Hulu has been my main thing right now. Not so, it used to be HBO, but Hulu. Yeah, HBO and Hulu together. FX, they have some pretty good shows. They know what they're doing. A couple times, some FX shows feel like they could be on HBO. All right, that's all I watched. Let me know what you watched in April. What was your favorites? What was your worst? What are you looking forward to watching? What are you going to watch this weekend? That's all. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.